And I mean, speaking about the history, there's a lot of trophies regarding that history, and it seemed like it was a long period of time Inter didn't win. About I think it was between 2011 and 2021, right? That they didn't win a single trophy. They come
Right.
back last year, win the Scudetto. This year, Scudetto, it's still uncertain, but at least it's a second straight season with the trophy now, Coppa Italia. I mean, pretty crazy game. Inter takes the lead early with Barella. Juve comes storming back 2-1 at the start of the second half. And then the controversy with the penalties, this and that. But pretty much after the 65th, 70th minute, Inter kind of took over, dominated, and they showed why they were the best team last year, right? And why they won the Super Copa. But what did you make of the game, Julian?
No, I think overall Inter definitely showed a lot of professionalism, like in terms of making the comeback, despite a little bit of a setback with Vlahovic, like scoring 2 goals, and especially a little bit of a howler from Handanovic. I think definitely Ivan Perisic was like the real MVP of the game. The way he dominated the flank, tracking back, and also producing offensively. And it just comes to show how much of a vital player he is for this Inter club. And unfortunately, the board is still stalling with his renewal for his contract. But I think he just keeps proving time and time again that he must be renewed as soon as possible in order for Inter to keep succeeding at this high level.
Yeah, and it kind of was like a tale of two halves. That it was a long game, right, Drew? It was ups and downs, the lead changes.
Yeah, for sure.
What who for you in the game really stood out? Besides Perisic, because I think like you said, and we've had other Inter guests on before. And again, I don't know why this contract is stalling. I think for me, it's already signed, if you ask me, and
Right.
I'm looking on the outside in. But besides Perisic, any other players that really opened your eyes in this match and that really took over the game, in your opinion?
I think Barella too really rose to the occasion. That opener was really nice. That was like a typical trademark Barella goal. The way he curled the ball at the outside of the foot and wrapped it around the net. That was pretty impressive. And also from Juventus, I think one player that really stood out was Dusan Vlahovic. With all the media and controversy going on, especially him being subbed off against Genoa after having like an underwhelming performance, I think this is exactly what Vlahovic needed, despite the first goal not being the best, like the prettiest goal, like in terms of appealing to the eye. The second goal was very impressive in the sense that he didn't get too excited with the run. He recognized his space like right between the lines, and he timed the run perfectly. And the way he was so composed and the manner in which he turned past Ambrosio was just world class. And that just shows like how much potential and talent Vlahovic does have. And I think he pretty much proved to the Juventus fans when playing against a top class team that he really does belong in this Bianconeri side for sure, despite all the controversy and all the media surrounding him this regarding his form since arriving from La Viola in January.
So last season, since it was brought up before, Inter went from being a Scudetto winning team with Conte, with likes of Lukaku and Hakimi. Off season comes along, the news comes out that Inter needs to sell, or else they'll have to declare a massive loss. I don't want to say the word bankruptcy because I think there was still like a clause that they wouldn't have to, but it was something bad. So then eventually, Lukaku sold, Hakimi sold, Conte leaves and gets replaced by Inzaghi. Now, looking at the end of the season, right now we've given him almost a full season. Scudetto's still a little bit up in the air, but it's the percentages are getting lower as time goes by. But they won a Coppa Italia. Do you think Inzaghi is still I don't want to say he's a downgrade, but do you think Inzaghi did a decent enough job filling the hole that Conte left, or are you still not sold on the tactics of Simone Inzaghi?
I think he did a good job. I predicted Inter finishing 4th place at the beginning of the season after the whole summer fiasco. So I think he did a fairly good job. Really like the way he's transitioned into a more attacking sided team and possessing the ball, shifting from side to side. So I think like that is really impressive. But I think the one thing that he lacks compared to what Conte has is like the psychological aspect of the game, like mentally. Like I feel like last season Conte like did a really good job. Like when it came down to the wire, like we had to win almost every single game to secure the title. Conte, no matter, he went against all the odds, and we won like 7 or 8 games in a row last season to secure the title early on. And I think it's like especially Inzaghi, like when it comes to games that matter the most, he tends to choke. Like the Bologna game, we saw it at the Milan derby. He just doesn't seem to have that psychological edge that I think Conte had. And I guess that would be my only like default or comment that I have to say that's not that brings down Inzaghi compared to Conte.
You know, you said you predicted Inter fourth. I mean, I think a lot of people were, I want to say disrespecting them, just really not giving them the shot they maybe deserved. Like, I mean,
Right.
here at the Calcio Guys, I didn't even have them in the top 4. I don't think.
I
know
did. I did.
And Adriano, I don't know. Did you have them in the top 4? No.
Hold on.
I
I have the list somewhere here.
Yeah, exactly.
I keep receipts.
I mean, you know what? You can't blame us because of the amount of changes that happened, right?
No, absolutely. I totally agree. The amount of changes, and also I think nobody expected Dzeko to do so well for Inter this season. Like it was just almost impossible. Like I think they have a solid starting 11, but just the bench is not that great. Like we don't have as much depth. I honestly think Milan have more depth compared to Inter going into this season. Like that's what I assume.
I said I kept receipts, but it turns out I think I threw them out. Hold on, wait.
There's somewhere on Google Drive.
Check your tax returns, John.
But Julian, if you know someone would have told you before the season started that Inter would win the Coppa Italia and they'd be 2 points out of first with 2 games left, I mean, what would you have said then? Like, are you surprised at all by the season they've had?
Yeah, to be honest, I am very pleased. I didn't think we'd be so close to winning the Scudetto. If you were to tell me that we would win the Coppa Italia against Juventus at the beginning of the season, I think you'd be crazy. And here we are. We won the Supercoppa, the Coppa Italia. We could possibly pull a domestic treble if Milan dropped points within the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, and no, you know what? It's crazy to say that because 2010 they won the Rio treble, if I can say.
Yeah, exactly. The Rio treble
with the Champions League. This year they have, like you said, Drew, the opportunity to win the domestic treble. It's kind of been like a common theme of mine that. Again, I'm going to have to credit where it came from, Milan Weekly Podcast, tops and flops, in terms of players on the respective team that you support. So, Julian, I'm going to ask you that, again, going into the season, you mentioned your expectations, obviously where Inter is at now, you're pleasant, you're happy with. Just to ask, a couple players, tops, flops, who really stood out for you this season, who didn't live up to expectations, the way you probably would have wanted in this Inter squad. However many names come to mind, please feel free to name.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely one of the tops would have to be Dumfries. He's been absolutely incredible this season. Despite having a slow start to the life of within the Nerazzurri, he really rose to the occasion in the second half. He really stood out, and I believe he has 4 goals and 5 assists, which is very impressive for a wing back. Another top would have to be Çalhanoğlu. I think compared to his form last season with Milan, I didn't really expect much of him, and I considered him a downgrade compared to Eriksen. But all of a sudden, he's playing arguably the best football he's ever played in his career. So that's really impressive, especially that he's playing more as an 8. So like he has more defensive responsibilities, and he seems to be better suited within that role. Obviously, Perisic with his major top. I think he's the MVP of the season, which is funny because I don't think many of these of us Inter fans, I didn't really expect much of him, and I think we all predicted that Inter would release him at the end of the season. But now, seeing how well he's playing, it's almost impossible to not acknowledge him and not offer him a new contract. For me, the biggest flop, well, it's got to be Radu for sure. I think one game played and he caused the howler, which could potentially cost us the Scudetto. And I think Joaquin Correa was a major flop as well. 30 million euros, and he's failed. He keeps on getting injured, and even when he plays, he doesn't really produce as many goals as I expected. So I think for that to be considered a major summer signing, I think that's considered a flop.